You'll have to forgive me for all that cutting at the beginning there. Thought I'd show you how my day got started with regards to work. Now, I did film a scene of my lazy morning because I didn't get up and start work like normal. Instead, I ended up having cereal, taking my mum to the train station, driving back, and then having nacho cheese and watching some cartoons. I filmed that thinking maybe I could show you that actually I just got out of the shower as well. So I was wearing kind of a towel robe and not anything where it's inappropriate. I just mean you can see that I'm completely not in work mode at all. So I filmed that and then I just thought this isn't interesting enough. It's kind of true and I am doing a vlog, but am I doing a vlog? I'm not really. I'm kind of showing you snapshots of each day. It's kind of a vlog in a way, but I just thought it's not going to make the cut. I mean, there's another scene that I've cut out where I go back into the loft. If you watched yesterday's, I was about to call it a vlog, yesterday's installment for the Inktober challenge, I brought down a large MDF board from the loft, and basically that's what I am cutting up today. That's what I'm doing here at the intro that you've just watched. So I do that, chop it all up into pieces. My camera actually falls on the floor whilst I'm sanding down all the pieces of wood, which was quite a long sequence that I thought would be quite nice audio, even though the wind was getting too strong. So that's why I've left in the jigsaw cutting and I've not left in the wind, and I just sped up the part of me finishing up the cutting because it just got too breezy. Anyway, all this is just to say this is what I've been doing this morning, and then getting them all emulsioned so that they're ready to have a ground colour put on, which is a colour that you want underneath the painting. I'm going to go for orange, I think, for all of them. And that way it's going to be a fairly bright orange. I mean, a lot of people say to do a brownie orange or a brown, but I quite like orange because it's really vibrant and you can see it through the other paint that you put down, which I think looks pretty good, especially when you've missed a spot. Now, yesterday's installment, I said that I'm going to start putting more effort into the drawing. And I must confess, this is not the drawing where I do that. I take it quite easy on myself. And it's partly because I also showed in yesterday's video that I was editing a podcast that had to be done today, that had to be finished. And I was dragging my feet. I'd had a lazy morning. Then I cut up a load of wood, emulsioned it, and I had to just get the editing done. So I finished up editing the podcast. I have to do several things on the computer with it after it's finished being edited, so that it can be uploaded on the podcast channel and also be sent to my co-host for him to upload it to the audio podcast platforms. All that is just to say this is why I did this drawing last minute, and I hope it still looks kind of cool, even though it's very much just an exercise more than a drawing. Normally I can do drawings with this type of approach, and I do love doing this type of thing, But for this example specifically, I was just going through the motions. I'm not going to pretend that I really enjoyed this session or that I zoned out and just really got into the flow state. I didn't. I was listening to something and I thought, as long as I just keep hatching in different directions, then I can create a patchwork of texture, which I did years ago, and I used to really enjoy doing this a lot, and I'm going to start doing again. But on this occasion, I did it purely for the reason to add 10 into the center and have this as a submission. Now, I still hope that you enjoy this and that you like the drawing. I personally don't get loads out of it because I like to do things with the texture beyond this. Plus, I don't like the fact that it kind of reminds me of a kind of sports jersey, because it's just 10 in this patchwork of texture. I'd like to have done something more creative in hindsight, but there we are. That's what I've ended up doing. Now, tomorrow, I don't have a podcast to edit, and I have the day to spend more time on a drawing as well as other things. You'll see that in tomorrow's video, because as I've already mentioned, I'm making this half vlog, half Inktober for every day this month. And that's going to be an interesting one tomorrow, because I've got artwork to make that isn't drawing, that isn't going to be part of the Inktober challenge. But the Inktober drawing is definitely going to have more effort. I've got no idea what I'm going to do, but I might plan something by tomorrow. As far as today goes, there's nothing planned, but I know that I'm going to invest more time into it. I did mention as well in yesterday's video that I have some social, what do you call it? Social events coming up. Just casual things, you know. Well, one's more work-wise than the other. I haven't arranged either of those, so I may have to get onto that tomorrow as well. So I don't know whether I'm going to document that or whether that's going to interrupt the drawing. Either way, that's a factor where I'm meeting up with friends at some point, not necessarily tomorrow, depends on the weather, I think, for that one. And then I'm meeting up with someone who is the head of an art group. I say the head, the kind of, I don't know what to call him. I think he is the kind of, oh, what would you call it? It's not the head. It's the, not the captain. All the words in my head are just not correct. He is the, not the manager. I don't know. He's part of an art group. He runs an art group, I think, as far as I'm aware. That's someone who reached out to me on Instagram a week or so ago about being on a podcast or having something to do with the podcast. And I'd like to feature him in the art group for a special feature. I don't think they're going to qualify to be guests on the podcast. That's to do with, if it is for the painting podcast anyway, because that has a certain threshold that artists need to pass in order to be qualify to be guests, which I know sounds quite elitist, but it's for a specific reason. It's not anything which is snobby or elitist about it. It's for a reason. You just have to trust me. It's anyway, if he wants to be on my podcast instead of the shared podcast, instead of Painting Insights, if he wants to be on Good Values podcast, he can be on that, and especially the art group, and I'm more than happy. Whereas the other one, which I just mentioned, has a threshold. I'm doing special feature interviews with people and places so that it's on the channel, because so long as it's got something to do with painting, I want to try and highlight and celebrate artists and art groups and events that are going on. Even if they're not going to qualify to be guests on the podcast, they can certainly feature on the channel, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to do that. So that's the other social event or interaction or occasion that I'm going to have to look into arranging next week. I'm also going to chase up actually a meeting with Gracina Samasia, who was a guest on my podcast, because we've been emailing and messaging back and forth loosely to see if we can talk, and not on a recording, but I really want to pick her brains about some things because she's really good at social media, and it was such a nice chat to have with her that I'd like to be able to meet up with her online. Anyway, the only reason I'm saying that is because it's on my mind just now. So those are the things that I'm going to be working on tomorrow, arranging some social visits and then doing a bit of drawing, a bit of painting, and then the Inktober. I mean, that's the plan anyway.